Happy Sunday, all you minties. This is the Uncanny Omar from Near Mint Condition. And join me today for an advanced look at the giant-sized X-Men tribute to Wein and Cockrum Gallery Edition from Marvel Comics. So, let's get started. And welcome back, everybody. Before getting started, a huge thank you to David Gabriel and the fine folks at Marvel for sending us an advanced copy of this Gallery Edition. This particular hardcover is due out in the direct market on July 28th, and then a couple of weeks later in the book market. So what we're looking at here is a Gallery Edition, and I've done a couple of overviews of Gallery Editions on the channel before, but in case you are new to it, or this is the first time you're viewing this type of video, let me just show you a size comparison. Here we have a trade paperback. These are the dimensions of your floppies, your single issues. So this is how much bigger it is. And then compared to the size of a Marvel omnibus, as a matter of fact, the story in here is originally collected in this particular omnibus format. So we'll do a little size comparison of the artwork. But first, let's look at the book a little bit closer. So what we're looking at here is an homage cover by Adi Granov for that classic giant-size X-Men #1. On the back, we have art from Ed McGuinness. And we have just a little bit about what this project was. It is rated Teen Plus, as these stories were, I guess, originally published. I never thought about that. The book retails for $44.99. And here is what the spine looks like. Now, let's crack it open and talk just a little bit about what this project is. So this was a really interesting project. So not only the cover is an homage to classic giant-size X-Men #1, the comic book that changed everything for the whole comics industry. Well, it changed everything for me too. It brought the X-Men out of obscurity. But the whole book, it's the whole giant-size issue #1 that's homaged in here. So you have different artists. You have 36 different artists drawing different pages from this particular story, keeping the original dialogue and the original plot untouched. So they do tell you that this was previously published, content included, negative depictions and or treatment of people of culture or cultures. So I'm glad that they did that. You know, it's weird because as a kid, when I read these stories, I never even thought about it. But at least the way that I see it, at least they are reprinting the stories untouched. Well, I say that about a book that's been redrawn, but the dialogue has not been touched any. That's the way that I like it. I don't like when things are edited out or filtered out to suit today's standards. I understand, but I think every publisher, or for that reason, everybody that releases a DVD or DVD, jeez, I'm showing my age, or a Blu-ray or a 4K, just needs to put a little sticker on there saying these were products of their time, and then go about their business instead of editing out things or censoring things. As a fan of art for decades, I think that it's a insult to the artist's original vision when they go back and edit things out or censor things. Now, where was I? Okay, so let's talk about the importance of this particular book. So what they do is they have 36 different artists draw the inside of giant-size X-Men #1. Instead of the phenomenal Dave Cockrum, who drew the original giant-size #1, they have different artists drawing different pages. So in case it's a lot of fun for me to try to guess who these artists are. A lot of them are new artists. Some of them are classic artists. But they do tell you exactly who drew what page here. So you do have your credits right there, including who drew the covers. They also reprint giant-size X-Men #1 in here for the purist, and they give you some background behind-the-scenes stories. So I thought this was a really cool project because as a fan of art, I like to see a different interpretation by different artists of the same script. That's one of my favorite things. When I used to have a subscription to Wizard Magazine, one of the challenges that they did for a few times was give a couple of different artists the same script and then have them show what their art would look like. And it was always interesting to me to see how different the art was. Now, of course, these are iconic images that at least are embedded in my head. I'm not sure how familiar. That is a beautiful piece by Mark Brooks. And I'm not going to go through the whole book. I want people to be surprised. But a lot of these images here are iconic to me, the way that I've got them played out in my head. So I do appreciate when the artist changed the angle of a few of these panels that I remember. Let's just skip ahead a little bit to just showcase some of the different portrayals of the same story here. And let's look at just a couple more pages. The book has 200 pages. So some of this is a reprint of Giant Size #1, of course. Actually, as a matter of fact, let's go there. So starting with this page is the reprint of Giant Size #1. So for the first time ever, I think that this is the biggest printing we've had of Dave Cockrum's artwork in this format. I think there is an artist edition. I don't think it was part of the Platinum collection, but finished artwork with the original story. I believe this is the first time we've had it printed in this size, this big. And I'll do, here, let's do this. Just showcasing the size difference here from my omnibus edition, my first print omnibus edition, to this particular page right there from the gallery edition. Tell is a lot bigger. And while we have it opened, just showcasing the differences, how it played out for Mark Brooks in his head. Almost identical to the way that Dave Cockrum drew it. Probably because, much like me, Mark Brooks probably had this image already in his head because of the wonderful master that was Dave Cockrum. And then this is the way that Chris Anka envisioned the next page. Which is very similar, honestly, to the way that Dave Cockrum envisioned it. With the exception of this particular panel down here, just being different angles. A little closer up here from Dave Cockrum. So just in case you're not familiar with why this book is so important, I wanted to go back to the beginning here to just showcase some of the Cockrum pages in oversized format. The importance of this particular comic for the whole comic industry is because X-Men was an underdog. X-Men was canceled. They were coming out, I think they were coming out every 2 months just as reprints, just showcasing some of their earlier adventures. And then they had this wild idea to just introduce a whole new cast to X-Men, starting with the characters of Colossus. And you can tell how big Colossus was at first, like the idea of Colossus, such a prominent piece right here in the cover. The character of Nightcrawler, the character of Thunderbird, the character of Storm, and then, of course, this one character that Len Wein already introduced in the pages of Hulk, Wolverine. So, together with Sunfire and Banshee, 2 characters that had previously appeared in the pages of X-Men before, they went to become the new X-Men. And they formed a new team. They went to rescue the original X-Men from the island of Krakoa. And the rest, as they say, is history. But this brought X-Men out of obscurity. This particular title right here just sold so well. This issue sold so well. And then the next issues of X-Men, 94, 95, 96, by the time Chris Claremont came on board, and him and Dave Cockrum just made it a #1 bestseller. John Byrne joined, and then it was just selling outrageous, astronomical numbers for a comic book back then. So it really helped out the entire industry. And, of course, if not for this book, I wouldn't be the Uncanny Omar and you wouldn't be watching this channel. Because so much spanned from this. Alright, let's look at some of these extras that we have. Because we've seen both the new drawings, or the new artwork, and the original classic. So we have a collection of variant covers here from the phenomenal Tradd Moore. And I know some people are hit and miss with him, but I happen to love his artwork. He's the guy that did Luther Strode, and he did that phenomenal Silver Surfer Black series. Did some of the Venom stuff, and then is that Adam Kubert, I think? No, that's Ed McGuinness, sorry. Ed McGuinness right there. Variant covers back here. The tribute cover. So you have this, what I think is probably the most important tribute of the whole book, are from the widows of the 2 gentlemen that helped relaunch the X-Men. So you have Len Wein's wife here, and then Dave Cockrum's wife, Patty. They both talk about just what the book meant to both of them. Len Wein, of course, we lost back in 2017, and my goodness, I think Dave Cockrum, let me see, 2006. Man. Because I remember he was supposed to draw Giant Size X-Men #3, and then he got sick. So Neil Adams had to take over. That was the one that was scripted by Joss Whedon. And then, of course, we have the phenomenal Chris Claremont here. Talk a little bit about his time, the importance of the book. And this is really cool. I love this stuff. This is the editors that put together the project, talking about how it all came together. And then my favorite thing that they do is this. So this is the behind the scenes of each of the drawings, each of the pages from the artist's perspective. So they're talking about, like, you know, their comic books, like how they grew up reading comics, what issues inspired them. Like you have the phenomenal Alex Ross here recreating this first splash page that kicked off Second Genesis. The breakdowns here, and then just a little bit about him and how he felt about Dave Cockrum. And every artist does the same thing. Kevin Nolan here. Let's fast forward a little bit here. Takeshi Miyazawa. Just talk about the experience with the project. Sometimes they do the progress of the artwork. I love this stuff. I love learning behind the scenes things, especially from the artist's perspective, like how they felt about the particular story, whether or not they were even X-Men fans or not. And I know I keep going back to this page, but I don't want to show too much of the book. So here we have something from Mark Brooks, and of course the uncolored page. Man, there was a rug right there. Rug doesn't even exist here in the final product. Pretty cool how it went from this to this. All right. Let's look further back to see what other extras. So you even have some behind the scenes from the variant cover artists like Ed McGuinness and Tradd Moore. That's cool. Then, of course, Ed McGuinness have drawn other pieces of artwork. There's one by Philip Tan. Nightcrawler. I remember, yeah, Nightcrawler was supposed to be created for the Legion of Superheroes, if I'm not mistaken, by Dave Cockrum. So there is some art here that, well, some characters that didn't make it. And, of course, some characters that got changed. Not going to showcase all of that. Some of this stuff has already been available in the Giants, or I'm sorry, in the Omnibus edition. Mutation of the Sentinels here. And just different articles. And, of course, some original artwork. 200 pages, $44.99. As far as the binding, not sure it even matters for a book like this, but it is sewn binding. As far as the paper quality, it's this thick, glossy paper. And that, as they say, is history. If you're interested in purchasing this book, don't forget to check out our sponsor. This episode is sponsored by CheapGraphicNovels.com, your online home for brand new graphic novels and collected editions up to 50% off cover price. They pride themselves on packaging your books so they arrive safely in an excellent condition, as well as prompt and helpful service. Check out the bargain deals for up to 90% off cover price. CGN is excited to announce that they are now taking pre-orders. They're making it easier for you to ensure that you don't miss out on the hottest releases. CGN is currently running a special promotion for you Minties. If you're a first-time customer, let them know that you were referred by Near Mint Condition at the checkout, and you'll receive a credit for free shipping on your next order. This promotion is valid for U.S. customers only. Cheap Graphic Novels, your source for the hottest books with the kind of deep discount and quality shipping and customer service that will keep you coming back for more. And that was the content, the page count, and the build of this particular gallery edition. Let me know in the comments down below if you have a collection of gallery editions, if you like this size of artwork in your comics. And let me know what you think of the story, what you thought of this idea. What other comics they should do like this? What are the classic comics they should have a bunch of new artists come in and redraw? Again, this was the Uncanny Omar. Thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe button, ring that bell for notifications to let you know when our videos are going live. We are on Spreadshop and on Patreon. Amazing ways to support the channel if you can do so. More importantly, everyone, please stay healthy, stay safe, and much love.